I'd like to call the Township North Huntington Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, May 18th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Roll call. Assistant Manager Turley.
Commissioner Stump.
Here.
Commissioner Atwood.
Here.
Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Zona.
Here.
Commissioner Wengren.
Here.
Commissioner Goss.
Here.
Commissioner Haggis.
Here. Can everyone please stand and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and opening prayer by Pastor Rosemary Suter from Calvary Assembly Church. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, we just ask that you guide this meeting this evening, Lord. Bless every leader that is present here for this community, Jesus. We just ask that you give discernment, God, in decision-making, that you guide the meeting, God, with grace, understanding, and respect, Jesus. In your heavenly and holy name, amen.
Amen. Also, too, if we could have a moment's silence. We had a member of the community recently pass, Officer Dwayne Quisera. He was also a township commissioner, so if we could just have a moment's silence for him, too, please. Thank you. If any residents would like to speak tonight, if you could please sign the book at the podium. Thank you. Our first resident is Bob. If you just come up to the podium and say your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. I'm Bob Morgan from 871 Northeast Drive, North Huntington. I just want to thank you for the welcome signs on Route 30. And if I suggest you could put some on 993 coming into the community from Trafford, Irwin, Manor maybe. And as I said, I lived on Northeast Drive. And Commissioner Jason has a video of our street where this water is totally missing the catch basin. And I know our street is scheduled to be paved, the very first catch basin on the street there. All that mud and water goes onto Brownstone. In the wintertime, it freezes at the intersection of Brownstone. So I'm looking for maybe some remedy. I don't know what you have to do to correct that so it catches that water on the right hand, the very first one on the right. And I want to address Dan. I've tried to get a hold of you, but I am willing to be on one of the rec boards to see if we can help move forward on some of the rec stuff within the community. So I have other members that, not member friends, that want to be able to do that too. So if you could reach out to me, and I'll contact some other people to see if we can move forward with recreational stuff within the township. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Our next resident is Mike. If you just come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Mike Greer, 380 Clark Drive, North Huntington. I've been a resident of North Huntington for almost 35 years now, an employee of the Public Works Department for close to 5 years now, and my father recently passed away last week. He was a resident of the township for over 60 years. I just wanted to thank the Board of Commissioners for the wonderful gift you guys sent our family. Rich for being so, just being there for us. Dan, all the parks guys, the police for the blanket, the dispatchers for the blanket, everybody in the office, all the support we received. Just want to thank everybody on behalf of the Greer family. So, thank you guys so much. I'm blessed to have a family like you guys in North Huntington. So, thank you. Thank you.
Our next resident is Dave.
David Plecko, 9931 Deerfield Drive, North Huntington. I have a couple questions and a comment related to the Grandview project. At the meeting on April 20th, 2022, last month, one commissioner asked if outside of bonding Laurel and Carruthers, there was any way that North Huntington would be able to work with the developers to find state money or grants to fix the roads. Mr. Spiegel of the Housing Authority said that there was a stakeholders meeting on May 11th, or May 10th, rather, with State Representative George Dunbar and county representatives in the Borough of Irwin to discuss funding for Carruthers Lane. If I remember correctly, one commissioner asked if North Huntington representatives could sit in on that meeting as well. Well, I've spoken on the phone with George Dunbar's office 4 times since that meeting. 3 times with his chief of staff, Brian Rosel, and once with Mr. Dunbar himself. Last time I spoke with Mr. Rosel was on May 11th. From what I could gather, Mr. Rosel didn't appear to know that there was a meeting on the 10th, which I found to be rather strange. And this was the day after that meeting was to have taken place. Mr. Rosel also made it clear that no funds would be available for Laurel Avenue, as that would fall under the purview of North Huntington. Nothing was brought up about Carruthers or Irwin on that phone call either. So, apparently, we residents currently assume that there is no funding for Laurel whatsoever, and we remain unclear as to the situation with Carruthers Lane and what Irwin intends to do or not do about that road. So my question, did North Huntington Township representatives attend that meeting? Did it take place? And if so, can we get an update on what was said and anything that came out of that meeting? And my comment is that I asked you, and continue to ask you, to vote no on any development on the North Huntington side of the Grandview residences. Thank you.
Thanks. Next resident's Brian. Just if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
So my name is Brian Lust. I live at 9908 Deerfield Drive. I have some information for you guys. I went and took pictures of the mine that they say that we don't live on. So we have this is the other day when we had the massive rainstorm, and it came out of Laurel.
Got it past them.
You already know what that is. It comes out of Laurel and goes down the hill to the road that they want to put in. Okay? So the third page is where they have the rock come out. Every time it pours down rain, the water comes out of there, goes down in front of the home on Laurel, and then the third page is the entrance to the road where they want to put. In the wintertime, when the water comes out of the mine shaft, that we don't live underneath mines, or above mines, because I pay $80 a year for mine subsidence insurance. I've owned my house for 29 years. I still got to pay $80 a year for mine subsidence insurance. There's mines underneath us, guys. Everybody knows that. It's Pennsylvania. We were told that there weren't. So, another thing is, too, to talk about what Dave was saying, I just called Dunbar's office today and talked to Brian. There was no meeting about this. He had no recollection of no meeting that they had between the Housing Authority. So he's right. There's no funding going to be given to North Huntington side or Irwin side. And I don't know if everybody knows, when Hurricane Ivan happened, there was no landslide when Carruthers went under. It was a hole, and it went straight down to where? I don't know. Nobody knows. But they had to fill it all in with backfill, that they closed that road down for, I don't know, it was months before they opened that back up. So it's starting to happen again when we go up there. And one more thing, I have 2 patients that I make artificial limbs for, that I work for the VA. They actually currently live in Greensburg Commons up in Greensburg. They're just satisfied with the way they're living in the HUD homes that they call apartments, because they have problems with, when they have problems with their running faucets that are not working, electricity, nobody comes and fixes them for 4 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. But sometimes they get it done, but it takes them forever. And I have one more problem. They want to put low-income housing people there that have income, low-income. I'm okay for the VA patients,
I'm all for it. You got 50 units. Why don't they pick VA patients that need it? Not 6 VA patients, and you're going to put low-income housing people in there? Go to the Tree Apartments. It's the same amount. I said, I feel bad for the VA patients that need the help, and it's just not happening for them. I'd rather see 50 VA patients in there. I'm all for that, because one day, we're all going to be there one day, but I'm not going to be in nursing home here. I'll be in Florida selling shaved ice. That's where I'm going. So I'm not staying here, believe me. So I thank you for your time, but that's the water that runs off down in front of the houses where we live, and that's what it comes up every time that it rains. And there's mines underneath. They drilled underneath to get that out there so it doesn't come into our yards. Our yards become swamps if they didn't do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next resident's Rebecca and Becky.
Hi. Hi, I'm Rebecca Rudy. I live at 10018 Deerfield Drive. I've seen you all over the last 2 months for many reasons related to the Grandview senior high-rise. Everyone agrees low-income senior housing is needed in Westmoreland County. Westmoreland County Housing Authority means this is a county housing project. It doesn't matter how it's packaged, it is county housing. Low-income residents will come in from all over the county. Sure, they'll tell us it's moderate income, but we know it means lower income, and you have to qualify. North Huntington and Irwin residents cannot be given priority. Irwin will benefit financially from it, not North Huntington Township. The conversation over the last few weeks has brought many concerns and issues to the attention of residents surrounding the property and to the commissioners. Some of what we've heard is 50 apartment units and 28 patio homes are proposed. To be clear, the property owners surrounding the development oppose it. Many discussions have occurred with stakeholders, and the commissioners are our voice while these conversations continue. Your voice is our voice. Concerns include the amount of dirt and slope being removed, the potential for landslides in the future, the impact of the quality of life of the residents who are long-term homeowners here in North Huntington. No one can guarantee the property owners will not have problems related to their property. Landslides, traffic, and the integrity of our neighborhood is at stake. Safety is and should be a priority, but it's not to everyone. To have 78, which is 50 apartments and 28 homes that are units that exit onto Laurel Avenue, it's not safe. Traffic patterns, sight limits, speed on that road, the terrain of the road present unsafe traffic conditions daily. This has all been brought to your attention already. And as other people have spoken, there's no state funding, according to George Dunbar's office, to fix roads in that area. The construction vehicles will cross roads and bridges with weight limits that their vehicles exceed. Yes, they will document the road conditions before and after the project and put up a bond to fix them. We know from past experiences that's not easy to prove for repairs in a timely manner. These vehicles will come through our neighborhood and further decrease our quality of life. Previously, last week, there was some discussion about 450 to 600 vehicles will be added to the road of Laurel and to that traffic pattern. It's not just a disruption during construction, but this is a disruption for decades. This is our housing plan. Furthermore, additional houses are slated for the top of Laurel Avenue, and I know that some people know that, but the 28 homes that they're proposing in North Huntington side and 13 or 14 at the top of Laurel. Where does this all lead? To unsafe patterns on our residential roads. There will be the bridge at Fairwood that will be closed for replacement in 2023. You'll have an unsafe Carruthers, which we all agree is already unsafe. It just doesn't sound right. Sounds like the safety was not considered in this process. The seniors in the high-rise can only get first responders to the building through an access road at the Village of Eastons. Since Irwin benefits financially from the construction of the high-rise, Irwin should deal with the traffic and the pending resident issues, not North Huntington. An alternative road access should be forced to limit the burden to us in North Huntington, the homeowners, the taxpayers, and even to the commissioners. And for residents on Laurel, Deerfield, and Crothers, we oppose this. 28 patio homes is more than Laurel can handle. To be clear, there has to be a better site in this county and in our community than this one. No other sites were considered. It's time to say this project does not make sense where it is proposed. Our worry is the project decreases our quality of life, our property, and that's our concern. And the long-term effects will be felt in North Huntington for generations as you decide to change the integrity of our neighborhood. Stop the road coming from the high-rise to Laurel while you can, and deny the road easement, which will hopefully alter the plan in a positive way. Oh, and I've been meaning to say, Grandview is a great name, but it's a play on words. Their view in the back of this high-rise will be one steep hillside. It will be the side that faces the front of Carruthers. They will see, maybe at the second story, the roof of the library. At the third and fourth story, they'll see the roof of Super America and KFC. And they might be able to see Route 30 if you're on the top floor. We all are asking for you to vote no for the easement of that road and hopefully change this project in a positive way. I want to thank you all, and thank you for your commitment to North Huntington as commissioners.
Thanks. I believe the next resident is Brackney.
Hi, my name is Lynn Brackney Mary. I've been here before. I have multiple concerns about my property because my property is the property where they will be digging closest to the property edge and have the slope, and we'll lose a lot of the siding. This project is not a good project for this property site. You need to take into consideration the township residents first. This should not be a sentimental issue by any means. Friend, I'm just saying, it shouldn't be sentimental. This,
Eric.
it does not need to be sentimental. I was here when you talked with somebody's daughter. It does not need to be sentimental. You need to do what is best for the residents of North Huntington Township and all of us that live on Deerfield Drive, because we will suffer the consequences of any decisions that allow this to go through. And that's all I'm asking, is to not be sentimental and think with your heads in what's right and what's best for the taxpayers of this township.
Thank you. And the next resident is Deanna. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Deanna Beatrice, 701 Main Street. So I'm here today because everybody on my side of the street on Main, we all own our house, but there's one house that's a renter's house. And when these people moved into our township, within the month of living there, they robbed an 84-year-old at Giant Eagle. I'm finding dope bags in my property on my yard, and it's from them. They do dope and crack, and it's out of control. I had somebody find out who the landlord is, and I placed a call to her, and she doesn't care. As long as she gets her money for this property, she doesn't care what's going on there, and it's an inconvenience to the rest of us. So I talked to Chief about it, I think 2 weeks ago, and he really liked the idea that I proposed, and he said he was going to talk to the new manager who was familiar with the idea. I'm here to suggest to North Huntington Township to adopt a nuisance property law. The goal would be to help residents, police, fire, and development departments deal with nuisance properties, targeting the owners and tenants of properties where police officers spend most of their time. Some cities and towns have passed nuisance property ordinances that result in fines against property owners if police respond to a property too many times. I forward Chief some of the findings on this ordinance, and I think it's a really great idea because nobody that owns their property wants to deal with the high crime that's coming into the neighborhood, and we're getting a lot of new people into our area, and it's not good, and it's just going to help the police and everybody else involved. I think it's a win-win. Thanks.
Thank you. The next resident, Shane.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Shane Hornchak. I want to attend tonight's meeting to once again show my humble appreciation for all the support I received for the township, received from the township towards my Boy Scout Eagle project. I personally want to thank the Commissioners, Mr. Miller, and Mr. Turley. On April 30th, I was awarded my Boy Scout Eagle Medal during my Court of Honor ceremony. Thank you for all who were able to attend this special once-in-a-lifetime event for me. Part of the ceremony was called the Eagle Charge. This charge was to undertake my citizenship to my country and especially to my community to make an impact. While my Eagle project is completed and my Eagle Charge is not, I will hold this Eagle Charge. I will hold to this Eagle Charge presented to me at my Court of Honor. Along with my brother, sister, and my parents, I will be making a point to continue to give back to our township. We will be maintaining a kiosk at Braddock Trail that my brother built, and for his Eagle project. We will be replacing anything that was old, water sealing it, and cleaning out any insects that were trying to make homes in it. We also were updating the map, trail handouts for Braddock's Trail that my sister designed for her Girl Scouts Gold Award, and we keep on filling up the mailbox for the visitors. Our next step is to replace some of the safety railings that were missing by the waterfall. All this under the guidance of Mr. Miller and no cost to the township. I want to lead by an example. Some of the points of the Scout Law that mean so much to me, especially when working for the community, are trustworthy, loyal, and helpful. These points I hold true and will not break. Thank you once again for your support. There is another reason why I wanted to attend tonight. Mentors in the Scouting War are unsung heroes. These people who make an impact on the lives of many Scouts. Most of the time, they don't even know it. They were there because they wanted to help. They believed in the Scouts and believed in the Scouting program. During my Eagle Scout Court of Honor, I presented a few special people this official Boy Scout mentoring pin. There was one that could not be presented that day, and I'm hoping I could use this moment to present it tonight in front of the board. Mr. Miller believed in me that I could take this Eagle project on at North Huntington. His guidance and support were so encouraging. I learned so much from Mr. Miller on how to present a project and the courage to do it in front of my peers. I can't thank you enough, Mr. Miller. Please accept the Eagle Mentor pin from me.
Thank you.
Once again, I want to thank all the commissioners, especially Mr. Miller and Mr. Turley, for helping my Eagle project. Thank you. Good night. Good night.
And our last resident is Terry. State your name and address for the record, please.
Terry Hill. I just want to ask you to please vote no for the development North Huntington side of the Grandview senior residence. We live 9938 Deerfield Drive, and it's directly against our property, and, you know, it really affects us. So I appreciate it if you guys could vote no.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other residents that would like to speak tonight that didn't have a chance to sign the book? All right, not seeing any. Response to citizens' input. First resident was Bob. Talked about some drainage issues. I'm sure Public Works will go out there and take a look once we get some of the paving projects started.
Sure. Mr. Morgan, we are aware of the situation down there in Northeast and Brownstown. Bob Robinson, our engineer, has been down there. Your road's it's on the paving program, as you had mentioned, this year. We'll go ahead and we've already come up with a plan of doing some reprofiling and a little bit more crown, and we're going to lower the inlet. Bob and I had discussed this last week, so we have a plan in place to be able to catch the water.
I don't think lowering the inlet is going to help.
Well,
It doesn't get to the inlet.
it'll make it with the profiling when we do. I mean, Bob Robinson's one of the best engineers around, so I mean, I got to take his word for it, and so we're aware of the situation there, and we will address it when the time comes during the paving season. Again, thanks for the compliment on the signs, and we do have intentions on doing some additional signs in some of the other corridors leading into North Huntington. So. Oh, you're welcome.
And your other concern, too, I'm sure Mr. Miller, once he gets the opportunity, he can reach out and discuss with you about some opportunities with, you know, Parks and Rec, and we appreciate your help. The other residents, most of them talked about the Grandview Senior Citizen Center. We can talk about it. It's on the agenda tonight at that point in time. Lynn brought up about renters and problem on property owners. We can explore that with their township manager, and we can come back to you when we have maybe something that we can present to the board. It's unfortunately not give and take, but that would be on the property owner. That's not on the township as far as doing like an audit or a background check on a property owner. They may, like I said, if you give us some time, our township manager and staff can research, and we can maybe have a proposal to the board, and we can further discuss it at that time. We can reach out to you when we do that, discuss that. And then I think I could speak for the board, Shane. I think you're a reflection of a proud young member of the community, and keep up the good work, and I really appreciate all the work you put in. Definitely, you're a young leader of the community. Appreciate it. Keep up the good work. I believe that addressed everyone. Like I said, all the other residents that spoke tonight, if the board wants to address the Grandview Senior Citizen Center, it's on the agenda tonight at that time. Yep. Yeah.
Hi, David. This is in regard to what you had to say. I was reached out to attend the meeting that was originally scheduled for May 13th, and I switched my schedule around so I could attend that meeting with you and Representative Dunbar's office and Commissioner Curtis's office. And then I was told that you pulled out last minute because you didn't want to attend. There were representatives from Irwin also. So I just wanted to let you know that I was made aware, and I did rearrange my schedule so I could attend on behalf of the township. So that was supposed to be for May 13th. On May 10th, they did end up meeting, and it was not about the actual building. It was just about funding for Crothers. But the Friday the 13th meeting was supposed to be about Grandview, and a chance for you and some neighbors to get any questions answered on a more personal basis at the county. And I mean, that offer's still up. If you are interested, you can still reach out to them and have them set something else up. But
well, the reason that I said no was because I was told that Dunbar wouldn't be there. It would be the housing authority only. And I said, I'm going to discuss with the township. I talked to everybody here about it.
Dave, you mind coming back up to the podium, I guess, if you guys are going to have some give and take so we can hear you, please? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't disagree with what you're saying. It's just that was not communicated to me.
okay.
So
I was looking forward to it, so I just wanted to let you know
Yeah,
that.
we went back and forth for this over the period of about a week and a half, Mr. Razzle and myself, and George called me, actually, after Mr. Razzle, the same day, and I was never told anything about Irwin or North Huntington being there. And when he called the final time, I told him I was thinking about this. Is anybody going to be there from North Huntington? Because if not, we're just creating redundancies here. I'd rather just go through the township if it's only going to be the housing authority. So that's my take. So I'm not saying that what you're saying isn't true.
Well, if you're interested, call and reschedule, because I'm still willing.
I was going to ask you, Lindsay, I was never offered to go to that meeting, so who did that go through? Was that
It was
through?
because it was at the courthouse, so they just reached out to me and asked if I could break away and
Okay, so
enlist
they just asked you personally, not
for
the rest of the board?
for somebody from North Huntington.
There's a lot of wires being
Yeah.
crossed, because I was told it was at the WHA building behind, where is it? Behind Greengate Road or something like that.
Yeah.
When it was presented that it would be at the courthouse.
He didn't even give me the right location then,
So,
so.
I mean, I don't know. And that could be maybe where they ended up meeting on 510, or, 510, I'm not sure. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to let you know that
Okay.
it was discussed. All right. Thanks.
All right. Any other responses to this input?
Yeah, on the same topic, I was also reached out to about that meeting. Brian Razzle had left me a message. I was unable to reach him. Well, I couldn't call him back for a day or so. Actually, it was the next day. But by the time I got back to him, he had told me that it was a moot point at that point because the residents had pulled out. He did not tell me where the meeting was going to be, but he had said he called to invite me to sit at the table with everyone. So, but by then it was too late.
Yeah, I just would find it was a little bit interesting that they invited two of the commissioners and not send a blanket email out to the whole board or to the township manager to invite the board. That's kind of interesting on George Dunbar's staff and the county commissioner staff.
The only other thing I would like to do is ask Ryan, was regarding the nuisance act. Do we have anything in our ordinance now that covers that?
I don't believe so. We don't track rental properties. We discussed internally yesterday. I'm going through some websites to see, like, short-term rentals, coming up with a list of addresses to give to the police to see if they can run those addresses to see if they're problem properties. But we don't track any rental properties as of right now.
Is it possible to find some model nuisance ordinances that maybe the planning commission can kick around?
Yeah, I just heard about this yesterday at the staff meeting, so we are looking into this. So we're at the very beginning stages of doing some investigating.
Thank you. All right, any other response to citizens input? All right, approval of meetings minutes for the special meeting 4/14/22.
Motion to approve. Second.
Discussion? All in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. For the regular meeting 4/20/22.
Motion to approve.
Second. Discussion? All in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Payment of bills?
Motion to pay voucher number 14128 through voucher number 14186.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. A few questions for Lieutenant McCurry. Jay, there's a certain item known as the Police Professional Policy Renewal. Can you comment on that?
Actually, I cannot. I can pass it on to
It's the police insurance renewal. Yearly, it's done in May. We just completed it.
Okay. It's insurance?
Yes, it's the police insurance
Police insurance.
liability.
Okay. I also have another one, LT, the new police server setup portion.
The server setup?
Server setup? Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't, actually Lieutenant Arendis is working on if it's the new server.
Okay.
He
What's
would
that
be
going to
best
help
to
you guys?
ask.
What will that help you do?
Well, the server actually is a secured server. It's separate from anywhere else in the township, and it needs to be that way for security reasons, for the sensitive information that we obtain through the state and federal agencies. It has to be a separate and a secluded server.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor by state and aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved, 7-0. Staff reports, Public Works report, Director Albert. Anything to add to your report tonight, sir?
I have nothing else to add, thank you.
Any questions from Public Works?
Yes, please. Rich.
Yes.
Ormsby and Niagara, the grades. Man, wow. Huge improvement. Thank you. Was that your guys? That was your guys?
It certainly was, yes.
I thought it was. Well, they did a beautiful job, and they put that gentleman's yard back together nicely. Grass has already grown on it.
Well, we do a nice job, and that's because of the type of employees we have and the quality employees we have.
Excellent.
Say no more.
Right on. Thank you.
Anything else on Public Works? All right, thank you. Park and Recreation Director Miller, anything to add to your report tonight?
I have nothing to add or to offer tonight, thank you.
Any questions on Public Works?
I have a question, Mr. Miller. I know that we hosted the Relay for Life last year out at Indian Lake. Did she reach out to you again to schedule?
Unfortunately, no, I've not heard
Okay.
from
I just wanted
from
to know,
Relay
'cause
for Life,
I'll
but
talk
we
to
certainly would be supportive of doing that again. That was a well-attended and a very nice event there.
Yeah, they were very happy with the way you guys set that up and ran it. I know they wanted to do it again this year, so I'll reach out and make sure that happens.
Great, thank you.
I have a question for you, Dan.
Sure.
Was there any damage to the pond at Oak Hollow Park from the accident there? And a second question, has the school district contributed anything to recreation this year?
We'll take them one at a time. With regard to the first question, there was an incident, to some of you, or I would think all of you were made aware, at Oak Hollow Park where we had a vehicle that entered the pond. It was an unfortunate accident. I certainly want to thank not only our local police department, the fire departments, and the rescue departments that were all on hand. We even called to some outside communities to have divers come in and help chain the truck and bring it out of the lake. There was no particular damage there. There were preventative measures there. There were absorbent floating devices that would take any fluid that vehicle would discharge. So those were properly placed, and those were taken out of the water yesterday. But we were in contact with DEP and the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, and they're both very satisfied that there's nothing that would damage any quality of water life as we know it today. Your second answer to the question with the school district, I've not heard anything with regard to recreation.
Thank you.
Anything else for Director Miller tonight? Thank you. Police report, Lieutenant McCurdy, anything tonight?
Nothing in particular, but I would like to thank you very much, President Haggis, for the moment of silence for Dwayne Casera. Dwayne Casera was my supervisor for a lot of years. He served the community for over 40 years. If you knew Dwayne, you're lucky to know him. He was the kind of person that you didn't forget. He treated everybody. I don't care how bad of a person that he was involved in. He treated everybody equally and with respect. He was one of my mentors, and I will tell you that he'll be greatly missed. So, thank you again.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Anything for the police department tonight? All right. Emergency management report. I don't believe Coordinator Mahinsky is here tonight. Any questions on the emergency management report tonight? Planning and zoning report, Director Fonzie. Fire officials report. Any questions on that? All right. Subdivision land development. Director Fonzie.
Yes, I have 2 items set for the board's approval tonight. The first is subdivision 8 of 2022, the Penrod Wally Plan, requesting board action to approve this boundary line revision on Veronica Lane.
Motion to approve. Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
And the second item is Site Plan 6 of 2022, the Grandview Senior Residence, requesting board action to approve this site plan.
I'd like to make a few comments regarding that project.
Before there's discussion, I'll make a motion to approve.
And I will second.
Discussion. Go ahead, Virginia.
One of the people in the audience commented about CDBG money that would be used to possibly address the roads going in through Irwin and in through North Huntington. Irwin is eligible for that CDBG money because of its median household income. North Huntington, their median household income is too high to qualify for those. So any type of grant request would have to come from the Irwin side. We were talking about the possibility of mine subsidence, and our engineer said there are mines underneath there, but the overburden was adequate. And what the overburden is the amount of burden over top of the coal mines. And the more shallow that is, the more you're at risk to have something subside. And they indicated in their report that that overburden was adequate. In my opinion, and in the opinion of the engineer, directing the stormwater that is around Deerfield and that slope is actually going to improve the odds of that area not subsiding. If nothing is done with the stormwater, that hillside will continue to erode. So there is a benefit with this project piping some of that stormwater to the residents that live with their backyards to that hillside. And I want the residents to understand that this project so far only involves the construction of the apartment building. The driveway that would be to that building is a use by right of the landowner. And this is a project that's going to be built in 2 phases. You have the apartment complex, and then you have the patio homes. When the patio homes go to be presented to North Huntington, that's going to be a time that we could possibly have some objection again to this project. But at this point, the only thing that is involved in North Huntington is the driveway. We also had a report this week that Ryan had passed on to the board that the engineer evaluated site distance, and he said the site distance is adequate for 40 miles an hour on Laurel Avenue for where that driveway is. So he did the engineering calculations regarding that. And so the board has to put some level of trust into the engineer's calculations there. There was also a comment made about a road easement. There is no road easement going to be there. That's going to be a driveway to that property or private road. So, and like I said, that is a use by right. If the township would deny that, the use of that driveway, we would have a legal problem, and that would involve all of the citizens of North Huntington having to pay for that lawsuit. And they would win that lawsuit because it's a use by right. And that's about all I wanted to add.
Any other board discussion?
Well, I'd like to say, too, listening to all this the last couple months, and obviously, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. And do I think there's a better there could be a better location for that? Absolutely. And I'm sure there's a lot of better locations. But what we're faced with here, pretty much what Virginia said, we're faced with this is where they want to build it. And I'm not a traffic safety engineer. I'm not a geologist. So as she said, too, we have to go by what all these experts told us. Do I think that road's not safe? I don't think it's safe either. Either one of those roads. I don't think the speed limit, there are few cars following that speed limit on there. I agree. But I think what we're being presented with and discussed over the last 2 months, all the reports from the experts and all the showing that they have followed everything that they need to follow, I don't know how we deny this project.
I'd like to just say a few things also about the project. I feel like there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I do understand the concerns when anybody hears low income, but I'd ask everybody to just maybe have a little bit more of an open mind. I mean, the income that is allowed to live in these facilities is up to $36,000, and that increases every year. And for a senior that could be living off of just their Social Security or a pension, this is what they can afford. It doesn't mean that it's going to be some slum, down in East Pittsburgh or whatever. I mean, these are really nice facilities. I know that there has been some news recently about the Jeanette Manor, which is a building has infrastructure that's over 50 years old. I mean, these are state-of-the-art facilities. I know everybody's not excited about the location, but if you could just have a little bit of an open mind about the kind of individuals that are looking for a nice place to live, that can't afford a Schuster Patio home or a Redstone Highlands, that want to be able to live in the community. I agree with the fact that we should have some kind of say-so about our residents getting first dibs, and I understand why there are reasons why that can't be, but they did assure us that they would let us know first, like as soon as the application process would open, to give our community the benefit of getting an application in maybe before somebody in Greensburg or Latrobe. But these are not going to just be bums. These are our mothers and fathers and neighbors and aunts and uncles that may not be able to live in their house on their own anymore. And the kind of things that I'm seeing online is just very disheartening. And I wish everybody would just open up their hearts. I understand that you guys don't want it in your backyard. I get that. But if we could stop acting like it's going to be some drug funnel in some welfare slum, I really believe that this could be a really nice community in addition to the area. I have full faith in the engineers and the professionals and the solicitor that we hire. We have ordinances for a reason, and everybody has done their due diligence in checking off all of the boxes that we require. And I see all sides of this, but we're making a decision based on the entrance today. And like I said, if everybody could just maybe open up their mind and their hearts a little bit more for the people in our community that are living on fixed incomes, it would be appreciated.
Mr. President, so before we vote on this, would you please spell out what exactly are we voting on with all clarity and transparency, no emotion?
Yeah, so Planning Director Fonzie could give a brief synopsis of what the plan is, but as kind of Virginia said, not to steal your thunder, they're basically would be approving the roadway that would be part of North Huntington. We don't have any say over the high-rise building that was approved through Irwin Borough.
That's correct. Were you asking more about what conditions are in front of the applicant at this point?
What are we voting on tonight, and what specifically is the name of that road?
The access road, it's a private drive. I believe the applicant is still submitting names. I think it's Bankers Street, which was approved by Westmoreland County 911 as far as a road name that won't conflict with anything within our boundaries, outside of our boundaries, in the 15642 zip code.
I asked last month, and I need people to hear what I'm saying. No emotion. I specifically asked last month about mines. Does everybody remember me doing that? That was me. No emotion. Safety of our residents and safety of the future residents if this facility goes into place. I'm going to ask again, and I want the God's honest truth, because in order for us to make an informed decision, you've got to speak the truth. Otherwise, the information is no good, and the decision is no good. Are there mines over this, what we're going to vote on tonight, on this road? Do we know 100%? Is there mines? Because I've been paying mine subsidence insurance ever since behind that Sunoco gas station on Colonial Manor opened up. And I saw the report. There's mines everywhere. I have the safety of the residents in my mind with no emotion other than the safety of the residents that now live in this location and the residents that are coming into this location. Can you tell me, are there any mines?
You would look on the mine map. It's on the township webpage and is all well through the state. I don't think anyone could guarantee there's a mine underneath or not underneath unless you dug underneath and found it. But it's in a mined area, so there would be no guarantee to say there's not a mine underneath that property.
Yeah, a lot of mines actually used to work for a mining office with the DEP several years ago, and I would say at least 80 to 85% of the homes in this township are undermined. The Pittsburgh coal seam is probably the closest coal seam to the surface in this area, and a lot of times the mapping is very suspect. The maps that we had to go on were from the Works Progress Administration in the late 1920s that were created to give us the coal seam elevation. The problem is a lot of locals would go into these mines and retrieve the coal. When that happens, they're removing the pillars, they're removing the supports, so in a lot of areas the subsidence happens right then and there. Sometimes the pillars stay in place and creates voids, so that's why you see some mine flooding, that's why you see subsidence events at the Colonial Manor Road Apartments back in the early 2000s. There was an event there, there's sinkholes on Carpenter Lane, there's sinkholes all through Penn's Woods where I grew up. So we can't get away from undermining in this area. So, but like Commissioner Haggis said, without certainty of there could have been a subsidence event there that happened years ago. There could still be voids there because there still are pillars intact. But yes, there is most likely undermined areas in this site.
I got one question for you, Ryan, and I got a few comments. Is the applicant, along with this, applying for their grading ordinance along with this? Is it for their approval?
The grading would be included in the commercial developers agreement that they'll sign. So that would include the grading plan and all the bonding.
I know we talked last week about the grade. I think the grade's a little too steep that I'm comfortable with. And part of our grading ordinance, the township commissioners would have a say in that. I would like to see less of a grade of a slope versus a 2-to-1, maybe a 3-to-1 myself as part of the project.
I'm not sure what that would do to push the slopes, how it would affect the road.
Mm-hmm.
But that's certainly something that you could discuss.
And like I said, I do have other concerns. We did get the report with the traffic and the sight distance, but I'm still concerned about the traffic and the sight distance, let alone, as one resident said, as part of the traffic study, when the complete build-out is done, they're saying about 400 trips in and out of this facility, what they're projecting a day.
Yeah, and I will say that, again, this development didn't even qualify for a traffic study by our subdivision land development ordinance, because it's a 500 trip a day or 50 lot subdivision. So they were actually under that threshold based on the ITE trip generation counts.
And I think Lindsay brought up, too, what's something I brought up last week, which I was concerned about, is the housing authority can't maintain their current properties, and they want to come to North Huntington to build new facilities. Well, I would like to see them maintain their current properties before they decide to make a decision to build new facilities, let alone in our community. I can't support this project whatsoever. Any other board discussion? I have a motion and second. All those in favor by state and aye.
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 Opposed? No. Roll call.
Commissioner Stump,
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood,
No.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
Commissioner Zona,
Yes.
Commissioner Wengren,
Yes.
Commissioner Goss,
No.
Commissioner Haggis.
No. Motion passes 4-3. Solicitor's report. Solicitor Alexander.
Thank you. There is one action item on the solicitor's report for this month. It is action to adopt proposed ordinance number 3 of 2022 of the Township of North Huntington, Westmoreland County, amending ordinance number 443, authorizing the placement of no right turns from State Route 30 to Mountain View Place.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by saying an aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0.
That concludes the solicitor's report.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Township Manager report. Assistant Manager Turley.
First item is an action to approve the April check register.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by saying an aye.
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 Opposed? Motion approved 7-0.
The second item is, for your information, is the April 2022 budget report. Item 3 is an action to approve the Logan Road intergovernmental agreement with North for Sales. There was a question last week about the costs, how the cost was developed. I did get to talk to Bob today, Bob, our engineer, and I didn't think of it at the time. We had unit prices for this year, just because our road program is already worked on and our bids are in. So we just used, we didn't have to escalate anything. We used this year's bid prices and then just multiply by the quantities. It's just great arithmetic. That's how the amount was developed.
Motion to approve.
Second. Discussion.
Yes, Mike, can you tell us, is this project going to pay for itself? I mean, are they reimbursing us 100% on this?
For their share, yes, their share. There are a few other items that could come into play, fuel escalation and some other things by contract, but that will just have to be dealt with. The fuel index is up right now. It could go down. We'll just wait and see. But essentially, yes, they'll be paying for their share of the road.
So you consider that fair then?
Yeah, yes.
Pricing?
Yes, and it's standard, too.
Any other discussion? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor by saying an aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Item 4 is an action to hire James Blake and Vernon Martis for the positions of truck driver laborer in the Public Works Department at the rate of $20.61 per hour per the collective bargaining agreement, contingent upon successful pre-employment drug and alcohol testing.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Item 5 is an action to approve the Natalie Lane easement vacation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Item 6 is an action to approve the conditional use application for the Javor Backyard Chicken Keeping application.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
And I would like to see Eric add to his motion that the homeowner accept the conditions that we laid out that were originally part of the ordinance that we had talked about at our work meeting, that we limit the chickens to 6. We know they have 7, to allow them that 7th chicken until that 7th chicken passes away, and that it expires, the granting of the approval expires with the sale of the property.
Yes.
Eric, you comfortable amending your motion?
Yes, I am.
Can we adjust that language real quick and just transfer of the property, not sale, in case it's not sold and it's just transfers hands?
That
Thank
sounds good.
All right, Virginia, if you don't mind, can you just go over that and we'll just make that the motion so we're all on the same page?
Okay, there was conditions discussed last week, and we all received a list of those conditions. So the conditions would be part of the motion, that there's a limit of 6 birds. We're allowing them to have the 7th bird until one of the birds dies, and then it's capped at 6, and that the approval is capped with the transfer or the sale of the property.
All hands, no roosters.
Oh, that's in the list, that's in the list.
Let everybody know. Thank you.
I have a motion and a second now.
Is the applicant present? Do you accept those conditions? Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
Excuse me, Board, I'll put together that list of conditions with a resolution to be signed. Hopefully, Zach, you can come in and sign this.
Yeah, no problem.
And then we'll send that to the applicant so that they can formally accept in writing. And then that resolution, I think, will act as the permit. That's sort of how I was thinking this would play out.
But we have it on the record that they've accepted it here as well.
Any further discussion? All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call.
Commissioner Stump.
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood.
Yes.
Commissioner Gray.
No.
Commissioner Zona.
No.
Commissioner Wengren.
Yes.
Commissioner Goss.
Yes.
Commissioner Haggis.
No. Motion passes 4-3.
Item 7 is an action to approve the conditional use application for the Hellsauer Backyard Chicken Keeping application.
Motion to approve with the same conditions, the limit of 6 birds, and it expires with the transfer or the sale of the property.
Second.
She's here, Craig, if you want to ask her, she's okay with
Do you
the
accept those
conditions.
conditions? I do, yes. Thank you.
Discussion? I just would like to thank you. I know I did last meeting, but thank you for being the first applicant to actually file before they put chickens in their backyards. All right, motion and second. Any other discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Roll call vote.
Commissioner Stump.
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood.
Yes.
Commissioner Gray.
No.
Commissioner Zona.
No.
Commissioner Wengren.
Yes.
Commissioner Goss.
Yes.
Commissioner Haggis.
No. Motion passes 4-3.
Item 8 is an action to approve the request of the Pennswood Civic Association for 4th of July fireworks.
I make a motion to accept.
Second?
Discussion? All those in favor by state and aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Assistant Manager Turley. Any further board comments?
I have a comment, and I'm just going to repeat what I said the last few months. I'm calling on the tax collector to get in here and open the tax office. I think it's about time that we open that up so our citizens can get in there and pay their taxes in person if they want to, or if they have questions, they can come in here. I'm also calling on our township manager to come with us with a new lease agreement for her office back there, something that's more in line with the going rate instead of the low rate that she's paying now, and that we address it at next month's meeting, and I'd like that added to the agenda for next month.
I would also like to make a further comment regarding chickens. There are a lot of homes in this township, that mostly upscale homes, that have protective covenants in their deeds. And when you have a protective covenant in your deed, you're probably not going to be able to have chickens no matter what North Huntington has to say about that. So when you're buying property here, look to see if you have protective covenants.
Anything else?
And I don't even know if that's correct, because if a house that has a covenants is sold, I don't know, like in my neighborhood, I don't think the covenants comes with me in that house.
Most covenants run with the land, is what the law says. So homeowners associations of Schuster Homes, most of those homes have homeowners associations covenants. They're filed at the courthouse, and most of those covenants run with the land, which means that they go to the homeowner that you sell to, that they sell to, and on down the line. Some may not, but most do, my experience is. And what Commissioner Stump is saying is that covenants are sort of super zoning requirements that the builder places on the subdivision or development when that developer is creating that development. And they can be much more stringent than anything that the Board of Commissioners will put in place. And you know that going in when you buy that property, because those covenants are usually distributed to you, and you sign that you've acknowledged that you received them. So this board has no discretion over the builder-imposed or developer-imposed covenants that come with your property.
I think once we open this door and start allowing them, I'm for letting anybody come in here then before us. If that's what we're going to do, if we're going to start allowing them, let
the board
everybody
wouldn't
bring
be
them.
able to differentiate between the covenants. That would be on the homeowners association and the property owner. We would do the same process that we currently did
If the
tonight.
board wants to approve a conditional use for a subdivision that the covenants prohibit, then that's up to the homeowners association to enforce.
Any other further board comments? If you want to make a statement, you can, but
Real estate, that with these covenants, they're not enforceable unless the people in the plans are paying like HOA fees. Otherwise, they are not enforceable once they're.
all right. Thank you, ma'am.
That's what a real
Yeah.
estate person is.
All right. Commissioner Gray, you had something?
I do. We had some discussion before about emails. Well, now I'd like to talk about U.S. mail. I know Commissioner Zona, 2 years ago or so, he made the motion to have commissioners pick up their mail in the police department, which I think is great. We should have done it long ago. In fact, I did when I was on the board before. But my question now is, and I'm glad you're here, Mike, what happens to physical U.S. mail that comes to a commissioner here? Because we have at least 2 instances, maybe 3, where mail gets sent here, I know in the old days, we used to get all kind of things from every agency, every group, whatever, and we had it delivered to the house back when the police were doing that dirty duty. But then we started picking it up here, and when still twice a week, we would pick up U.S. mail, or I would. We would receive it. So I know we got Circleville's banquet invitation delivered, I believe it was here, and we didn't get the invitations until 2 or 3 days after the banquet, after the event, and that was because it was put in with our meeting books. So what's happening to any meal that comes to a commissioner? A month ago or so, Juliana handed me a letter as I walked into the meeting here that had been U.S. mailed to me. But it was dated, I don't know, 2 weeks before. I don't know how long it sat up here. And I know currently Commander Bullock from the VFW sent us a physical U.S. mail letter to the township commissioners, 7 of them, inviting them to the Labor Day or Memorial Day parade, and therefore this is the invitation he asked me to tell you if we didn't get the letters. It begins at 10 o'clock, be there maybe at 9 if you can go. So what is happening to the mail?
It's going out with the books, and there's not any regular mail service as per the decision from a few years ago. So we're not opening, if something's addressed directly to a commissioner, we don't know what's in it, right? We're not opening. I did know about the Circleville matter that you had brought up.
Yeah.
And I realized that we talked about it briefly. And so, well, this is an issue. This is an issue because we have a couple of weeks. We're not supposed to be delivering, but we have this potential for mail not to get there because it's coming here.
Can somebody just shoot us an email and say, hey, commissioners, you have mail, or just Commissioner Gray, you have mail, or...
Yeah, I don't know how many times. I was only familiar with the one time that it happened at Circleville. I didn't realize it was that big.
But there certainly has to be more, quote, junk mail coming to us at this address. Is there not?
I think what Lindsay and maybe Commissioner Gray said, if it's possible, if we get something, maybe just shoot us an email or have the manager shoot us an email, whatever's the easiest, and then we could come get it at our convenience if we have something. If that's okay with you, Commissioner Gray? Or were you looking for something different?
I don't know. I just think there has to be something. I can't imagine in 2 years on the board, Ron, Lynn, or...
I believe Corey did, we did get Corey's letter, I believe, in our last week's packet, if I'm not mistaken.
You did?
I did receive one.
I did not.
Yeah.
And I'll say, I just got this in my packet this week, so occasionally I do get a piece of mail, and this is only dated May 11th, but I didn't get anything from Memorial Day.
Was it addressed to all of us? Yours?
It was addressed
the invitation?
to me personally, I believe. I can double check it, but...
I believe he told me. I'd have to look.
Yeah, but I can double check. I believe
I thought he sent 7, but I could be wrong.
I believe it was addressed.
When did you get it?
I think it was in our last, on my packet last week.
Last week?
Yeah, for our special meeting.
Okay. I mean, if it was addressed to you, did it invite the commissioners?
It was an invite for me personally, but like I said, I can double verify it, but it was just one letter. It wasn't 7 letters addressed to each commissioner.
I'll check with him. I think he told me it was 7, but actually, hold on. I will right now.
And I think that's the best way to do it. If we get a piece of mail, can somebody just shoot us an email the day it comes in, and then if you don't come in and get it, then it's on you. That's all.
I was
If
only
you get it
aware,
late, it's
I was
on
only
us.
aware of the one incident at Circleville. I didn't realize it had occurred a couple times, but I knew there was a gap. I don't always see your mail. It comes in, goes into your slot, goes to into your book. I'm not even sure what all mail, if it's addressed directly to you. So I only knew about the Circleville issue.
Okay. He did not say it was 7 letters. He just said, I mailed to the townhouse. Okay. So I'll check again.
Yeah, I'll check the
If
letter.
there was only one, then what was your plan to notify us?
I thought we each got one.
Okay.
I wasn't
Well,
trying not
that's
to
on
notify
him
you,
then,
Rich.
All right, thank you.
I want to just kind of segue off of that with the email, and I would like to discuss, maybe if we can't budget it this year, to maybe look into it for next year and start incorporating the use of tablets instead of the amount of paper that we're using every month, twice a month, the amount of work that the girls put into creating these books, and then what happens to all this? It just gets recycled. I just think it's very wasteful, and I feel like it would be a return on our investment, and then that is another tool that you can then use to check the email if you don't want to, you know what I mean, use your personal cell phone. So I don't know if anybody else would be interested in that possibility. I just think that it's going to be 2023, and we don't need to be wasting and spending so much time putting these lovely book kits together. And if you still want to take notes, you can, or if you want to print something out, you can, but I just think it's very wasteful. And
I totally agree with you, Lindsay. We should all be able to look at these, this paperwork on our cell phones or our computers. There's an expense, a considerable expense printing
time
those
wasted.
things out. And if we're getting an electronic booklet, we don't have to make a special trip to the townhouse.
That was the plan, to do that. There was an issue. I was part of the discussion back a few years, and I wasn't as involved in the last year or two, but I think the tablets were one of the things cut when we started cutting costs through COVID. We weren't going to do it for the next year or two. I believe that was the decision. And then there were some issues with the Agenda Center and attaching some of it. There was a couple of issues. So what I'm going to suggest is that we put a memo together, or Jonathan is to put a memo to see what there were a couple of things to overcome. Not things that can't be overcome, but there were a few problems. But I think some of it was just set aside because we're putting aside purchasing tablets. I think as long as we can make sure it's in order, if you rather have tablets, we should do that. And I think that was the plan going back a few years. It just, we did run into some issues. Now staff has tablets and use them. But I think some of it was a decision made on cutting some costs everywhere we could. And then there were, like I said, there were a few, say, practical, just functional issues with the Agenda Center and the attachments with the website. But we'll get something to you in a memo or something, get an update, and go from there.
Yeah, we can probably definitely discuss it next budgetary time.
I can tell you, this is the second community that's raised this that I represent in the last 30 days. So obviously it's something that people are looking at now. It's a way of the future.
I mean, I go through and read all of this, but
You're saving paper and ink.
I think it's, with how thick this book is, when you sit down and start going through a tablet, you're going to be surprised how hard that is to find stuff when we're looking. Now it's easy because they're tabbed and you go right to that tab. When you're in a tablet with all these pages, you're going to be going this way, coming back this way. I mean, I would rather have paper in front of me myself.
I'm a little bit younger, but I agree. I like having a paper. I like reading and holding in my hand, making my notes. But it's something we can discuss and see. Maybe a few people want to go to the tablet, a few people want to stay with paper. We could have a blended agenda, whatever everybody wants. Any other further board comments?
Yeah, one follow-up to, you got the invitation for the parade. If you don't mind, if you still have it,
Yeah, I'll
maybe you
have to
could
check.
scan it
Yeah.
and send it to all
I'll
of
have
us.
to check. Like I
e-copy.
said, I took for granted it was just
Yeah,
that
I
everyone
get
got
that.
one, because
I
usually
get that.
we all get them. Any other further board comments? I just have two quick ones, not to beat a dead horse. I know the board approved the Grandview Senior Citizen Center, but for the residents that are still here, George Dunbar said that he had nothing to do with the project, but he did call the PA Housing Finance Agency to help to try to get support for Westmoreland County Housing Authority to get funds. And those funds come from, obviously, us as taxpayers, so that's our money helping fund the project. And it's a little disheartening that the county commissioners and George Dunbar's office only reached out to two of the township commissioners. I don't know if they reached out to management at all, but that's a little bit a bad rap on their part, in my opinion, and I have no problem telling them that to their face. Any other further board comments? If not, just need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by saying an aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Meeting adjourned at 8:21.
Sorry to hear about the line. It was my sister-in-law's neighbor up there.
Yeah, okay.
My condolences to your father. I knew who he was. He was a great man.
Oh, yeah.
He was. I didn't even know who
Yeah.
he was. He was a great man. Like the officer said, he was straightforward to everybody.
Yeah.
Sure. Who you were.
No, that wasn't my father, Dwayne.
Oh.
That wasn't Dwayne.
Okay.
But prior to that,
No, I
Your
know.
condolences anyway.
Yeah, thank you. But no, Dwayne was a great person.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
But your
it
condolences
does.
still.
It's
All
a
right,
lot
yeah, no
more work
problem.
than people think it is, but I think it's worth it, so I'm glad I get to see you. Thank you.